What's going on, y'all? Y'all tuned into Exposure. I be your boy, the Global Zoe, and I'm with the gang.
Biddines.
Drego Mill.
And today we have a special invited guest, tech marketing guru, artist, and producer, Chris the Great, a.k.a. Chris Redden.
Let's go.
What's happening with you, man?
I'm good, man. Palm Beach.
That's what's up.
South Florida.
How you feel?
I feel good. I'm sitting here with the legends, man. I feel good, bro.
Hey, welcome to the podcast, man. We Exposure.
It's all about exposure. You need the exposure. You gotta touch the streets. You need that street credibility. You need that promotion. And that's what exposure provides for the peace.
One comedian that makes him sign out here at MIA, grinding like I always do. We watching Exposure.
Getting hit in the head with that exposure. You know what it is, them down dogs, Raylo, #1 DJs, #1 promoters for show from Palm Beach. It's exposed. It's wide open now.
Y'all check it out, you know what I'm saying? Keep it locked all over Florida.
And you are watching Exposure.
It's just an honor to be here, man. Thanks for having me, guys. I'm ready. Let's get it.
Let's get it. So, I mean, my first thing out the gate, man, where you from?
I'm from right here. I'm from Florida, man.
Florida.
And you know what? I want to emphasize that because, see, growing up in the time that I grew up, it was like if you had a different swag or if you were like, you know, you dressed a certain way, people would think if you lived in South Florida that you was from New York, right?
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
They're like, oh, you must be from New York. You must be from up top or something. But the thing is I think that the cool thing about South Florida is that we are a melting pot, you know, just like a New York or anywhere else. So you get different styles. You get the Caribbean style, you get the up north style, you get the, you know, all kind of styles that just mixed in together. So, you know, I'm a product of that. Like I'm one of those artists where I see creativity and I gravitate towards it, and I just make it a part of who I am. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
South Florida, born and raised.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
And what got you into music?
Man, you know. All right. So we got it. If we gonna tell the story, we gotta go. We gotta tell the whole story.
Got to.
Mm-hmm. We gotta do it right. So I'm gonna take y'all back to the year. Let me see. Should I go that far back? Nah, I'm gonna take y'all back to like the year 2004, 2005, and there was a movement down here in South Florida, right? Them damn dogs. Y'all
Shout out
remember
to
Raylo,
Mm-hmm.
and you know what I'm saying? They had the city on fire. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about during that time period, though, I felt like in a way the music was, even though it was, you know, real hype and it was like crazy and it was dope, like it was kind of one dimensional from my perspective. You know, when you said you were a South Florida artist, you kind of was expected to be like, you know, the typical hood thug artist and coming out of South Florida. I mean, you look at the influences, like all the greats, you know, Trick Daddy.
Yeah.
You know, even before Trick Daddy, you had the Uncle Luke era. So if you wasn't like a dance Uncle Luke type artist, then you was like the thug artist. You know what I'm saying? So in my experience, like growing up in South Florida, like I just let y'all know, I always been one to like look at different styles, not just within hip hop or not within a specific genre, but just cultures and different in general. Yeah. And just bring all of that energy together, like sort of like a melting pot, and you know, just infuse all of those different styles. So you know, what inspired me to get into music at that time, I kind of saw a gap in the market in my city, and I was like, you know, everybody's making music like this. Everyone is the same kind of typical artist, and I want to disrupt that. So I came up with, you know, my sound, like and I'm not saying my sound was so different, but I just felt like it wasn't different. Enough. It wasn't enough artists, I feel like, that was representing different things. So, you know, that's what really inspired me to want to create and want to kind of tell my story. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So was that? I mean, we kind of talked about that earlier too, but I think that's scary at the same time when you want to go left, when you see the whole city going a certain way. How was that struggle? Did you get the support in the hood or your area? Man. Would you say could you go to the same clubs or how was that?
Yeah. Like, all right. So I'm gonna tell y'all a story. So there's a place where everybody back in the day used to get these CDs printed. You know, when you want to put out your mixtape or whatever. Like
Clarence.
Oh, shout out to CRB, man.
We
can shout out Clarence.
Right around the corner.
We can shout out Clarence.
Clarence helped everybody.
I still work with him to today.
To this day, legend.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I remember though, like I was like, okay, everybody go get their CDs done. So in respect to Clarence, that is my guy. And I still work with him like on so many levels. I went in and I was printing this, you know, our first EP. And you know the Pangea Kids, if y'all remember, you know, was a little movement in Palm Beach. We made a little wave or two in Palm Beach, and so we had our little symbol stood for peace and love. And at the time, you know, the city was really in chaos. Like it was like a shooting every other week, killings. Like it was like really a part of our brand. To you know, we were like basically the mini Compton.
But which area when we say the city?
Like,
is you from?
It really the whole Palm Beach, but really on fire, like downtown. Like there was so many dope artists coming out of downtown. Yeah, and it was like they was speaking their reality, like what would they, you know, what they saw. Like, and keep in mind, I grew up downtown. Yeah, my grandma lived on 4th Street, so like all of the major families from 4th Street, 5th Street, all these major families, like I grew up amongst them, so I saw a lot of what you know how things were in the streets, and I was kind of inspired to like, you know, like there got to be a better way. Like I want to do like something positive to bring some positive energy. You know what I'm saying? Even though the city was in a state of what it was at the time, you know, at that time, like we were underserved, like the communities were underserved. You know, there was a lot going on. Like, there was a huge economic gap. You know, I remember, like, if I could say a quote from one of the Old Damn Dogs video, Relo was like, you know, everybody on the island is rich and everybody over here is trying to get rich. You know what I'm saying? So at the time, it was, like, crazy. So, you know, for me, like, looking at what was happening in that moment, I just saw an opportunity. I think that with every challenge, you know, there's an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? So you know, when we started forming this movement of what would be known as Pangea Kids, it was like a really forceful, positive movement, and it was done intentionally. You know, to kind of rebel against what was happening at the time. You know what I'm saying?
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Pangea Kids is 3 of y'all, right? It was 3 of
y'all.
Yeah.
So Pangea Kids, you know, I'm one of the Pangea Kids. It was 3 of us. My little nephew Guerra, young Guerra. Okay. The young boy Dubba AA, you know, Grammy Award winning GOAT. You know what I'm saying?
Put that out there. Shout out to Dubba AA.
We gonna get him on that.
Yeah. My cousin Dubba AA and me. And you know, we all came up like with this idea, and you know, we wanted to spread love through the city, man, and that was our angle. You know what I'm saying?
I remember that because y'all had the necklaces and 2 Slabs, the group I was in, we had the turkey bones.
Yeah.
So people would it was a few times people got us mixed up with y'all just because they only knew, like, I guess that indigenous Afrocentric look with the beads and the jury, and there wasn't a lot of artists around that was doing that, speaking specifically to like the urban rap scene. Mm-hmm. You didn't have that, so you had y'all that was pushing it extremely, I would say, more left field than us, because 2 Slabs was kind of like an outcast, so it was different, but it kind of fit in.
Right.
Y'all infused like kind of a more of a Tribe Called Quest element, which is still related, but it also had that alternative side to it, to where it wasn't, y'all wasn't trying to be pleasing to what was going on. We would participate. We would use some of the same type beats productions, but y'all wasn't doing that. They was pulling up the open mics with bands.
That's
like we wasn't. People wasn't doing that. You talking about a whole open mic where people just get up there, rap over their own track or whatever. These dudes got a band. They backing it in. They pulling instruments off. They gotta do sound check. We like, this an open mic. These boys brought in production,
and they brought energy.
You ain't
getting every show. It was
nobody
you was sitting down. You supposed to be jumping up. I had no jungle, but I had a jungle on my neck. You feel me? I'm like, hey, the first time I seen them, I was like, yo,
amazing. It was refreshing. It was important, and I just remember that being extremely beautiful because T Green, that's always been my manager even up to this day. He interviewed y'all and y'all was like hanging in the trees.
Which was our first interview, by the way.
Yeah, for who's next .biz. He interviewed about 70 artists in the county, and y'all was hanging in trees doing the interview. Wow. I was like, wow. Yeah. They different. And Pangea. Do you know much about Pangea, that continent?
Oh yeah.
Cause nobody. When I later started looking into that, the first place I heard it was from y'all. And then later, even as an adult, I was like, I wonder if they know what they was even talking about, or was they just saying it just to say it?
The secrets of Pangea.
Yeah. Do you know what Pangea is?
I know a little bit. I don't know.
You know?
You know what? Let me jump in there because I forgot to mention the point. So you asked the question earlier, right? So you said, did people gravitate towards it at first, this and that? Yeah. So CRB, I was talking about CRB. So I went to go get my CDs printed from CRB, and he was like, asked questions. He was like, Pangea, this is interesting. And then we had the little symbol, the little peace and love. And he said, explain it to me. So I was like, yeah, it's a movement, we all about peace and love and like spread love, this, that, da, da. He said, that's very, very, this is Clarence talking. You know how he talk. He like, that's very, very. He sound like Karl Malone. That's very, very interesting. Yeah. But he said, you know what? They ain't gonna listen to it. These young kids ain't gonna listen to it.
Like you hit it on the head. that sound like.
And I was like, what? He's like, they ain't gonna listen to it. But you know what? I kid you not. So like, we got so much love. Like I thought the love was gonna come from like suburban, because when you think about Palm Beach as a whole, it's a huge suburban area too. Yeah. We grew up on the east side with all the gangsters and thugs, but like Palm Beach demographically is like suburban. You know what I'm saying?
Retirees.
So you know what I'm saying? So we were targeting really like the kids in Boca and this and that. But a lot of our fans were like hood. From the hood. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had, like, thugs come up to me and like, bro, what y'all doing, bro? Respect, bro. That's real. That's real. Y'all boys being y'all son. Y'all being true. And to me, that really resonated more. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, now granted, I'm a marketing guy. And, I think even back then I was trying to use my marketing mind. But what always translates more is authenticity, like being able to connect with people and really telling your story. And, what our story was, like, look, we in the jungle, man. Like, this is the jungle out here. We trying to survive. And I think that message, that came across ultimately, the most in what we were doing. So, yeah.
So when did the producing kick in? That's an artist. So did you develop both at the same time, or?
Well, man, production was my first love. So I talked about 05, right?
Yeah.
At the time, I was downtown City Place. You know when they used to mace everybody like
Yeah.
At the movies and movie coat.
Yeah.
I'm taking y'all back now. So 05, 04, 05, like when everybody used to cry down City Place, and this was City Place time, not Rosemary Square.
Yeah.
And they had to change the name because it got to be so wild.
It was
out
a
there.
turn off. The old
It was like bad press and everything. So down there where they used to like kids would be down there, they'd fight, and the police would like come out and like SWAT teams and like spray I got sprayed with mace a few times, but I bumped into Raylo, and Raylo said, "Yo, you make beats." So I was telling him, "Yo, I make beats, whatnot." He was like, "Can you sample?" Because at the time, you know, Kanye West was like sampling, like that was like the big thing. Can you sample, like take the old school cuts? Yeah. So I was like, yeah, I could sample. So Raylo, and at the time I was like 12th grade, like, you know, 17 or whatever. And so he would actually come to my house and he would give me records to sample. And I had a Roland Phantom keyboard that I sold my car for. I had a car in my senior year that was like breaking down. And so I was like, man, I'm selling my car, buying the keyboard. So I bought a Roland Phantom. Shout out to my producers out there that know what that is. You know what I'm saying?
That was good. That was a flex.
That was
Big flex. At that time, yes.
Okay,
Yeah, that
you
was
know
a
what I'm
flex,
saying?
man.
Yes, it was.
You know?
Phantom in the motif.
Yeah, the Phantom in the motif.
Trying to.
Yeah, tight. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't flat. It was like what, 2,500? Like it was.
That was up there.
Yeah. I remember when I bought my Roland. I told my mom and my dad, I was like, look, I want this. It's like, what about, you know, since senior year, you don't want to drive to school? I was like, no, I want this. I want to make beats. Like, this is how I'm going to make money. So it's all right. So I sold my car. I got $1,000 for my car. And then they put like the rest of the money, you know, for me to get it. And so I had Raylo come to the crib, and I was making beats for like bootleg, chop, bootleg work. You know what I'm saying? And
at 17.
17. Troll Down, all that. I didn't make that beat Troll Down, but I made a lot of records on his album.
Okay.
Back in the day. These is like the old school legends in Palm Beach. Yeah. I worked with Triple J back in the day a couple times. I was working with Van Dam. I'm gonna get to that.
Oh, okay.
That was like my, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So and then Double A, you know, was like that was my cousin. You know, is my cousin, my younger cousin, and we would, you know, work together on the Phantom. And I remember Raylo was like, "Yo, we got a studio, GOB Studios, back in the day." He was like, "I got this artist coming up, and he's from downtown. Everybody know him." And he was like, "I want you to produce his hit. He got like a song that he did, but he needs like a fresh production." And I was like, "Who's this artist?" And he was like, "Vandam Bodyslam." I was like, "Who's that?" And so he was like, "Yeah, Vandam Bodyslam." So like, so he brought him to the studio. And here comes Vandam, here comes Spro, G-Boy. And let me tell you the funny story. Spro I knew from middle school. So he was like, "Oh, that's the nigga with the cat eyes." You know what I'm saying? Cat eyes. Oh, he used to call me. And he used to go, and this Spro used to tease me on the bus and be like, "Here, lizard. I'm like, "Nah, leave me alone, bro." So, you know, Vandam walks in. He was like, "Y'all got this song. I want you to chop it up like this, X, Y, and Z." And so I started producing the record. And then Raylo was like, "Something missing." And I was like, "What?" You know, like, we got something missing. And then he was like, "Man," he was like, he wanted some drum elements in there that sounded something like the Franchise Boys or something like that. And like I'm telling the history, man. So my little cousin Double A was like, "I got it," and he jumps on and he finishes the beat. And when we did that record, we had no idea that record would be one of the biggest records out of Palm Beach. And it was so funny because I remember I remember after we did the record, they did the R&R radio, all that, the promotion from it. Oh, and by the way, I found out another funny story is G-Boy, who's actually related to me. Found out he was related to me and this and that, but they did the record, and then come to find out, I went back to Roosevelt, which was my middle school. Went to Roosevelt, and I was like, it was like a career day thing, and it was like, this is how I knew the record was crazy, because I had no idea, whatever. I went to Roosevelt, and I was like, yo, talk to the kids. I was like, my name, Chris the Great, Chris Redden, whatever. And I was like, I produced this record called Bodyslam. And then all the kids started going crazy. Like all the downtown kids was like,
you ain't know what it was doing outside yet. You ain't know until you mentioned it.
Yeah, and that was like, for me, that was like, cause like, I was making beats at the crib and like, to link up with Vandam. Like I would see Vandam as a kid growing up, cause we all grew up downtown. But to make that connection, it was just like, yo, like this kind of a, pretty boy, nerdy kid linked up with this, these hood niggas, and they made this record.
Right.
And they went crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so that was like, yo, like for me, like hood fame, if you want to call it, hood success, how it all began, like with the production, on the production tip, man.
And I know that's gotta feel different because social media wasn't like in your face like that.
Nah,
so when you can get a buzz, when you can feel it before, man, that's a different feeling.
And for the listeners, the Bodyslam song was a big local record.
Yeah.
So we talking about it, but we also have listeners that's learning the history as well to document. It was a big local song. I didn't even find out till much later on because producers wasn't necessarily like taking off post producing.
Yeah, but I
wasn't in the
line.
lineup.
I knew you from that record. I knew that. I knew that much about him. Like if, before I met him, I knew he produced.
I never know. I didn't know. I didn't know who produced. I like just like you didn't really know who produced.
Great on the track.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back in the day.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah,
that's how they got their light back in the day. Unless somebody said the name, you know what I'm saying? So, hey, you had a couple of discs. You had a couple of I say disc, but some folks might not know what I'm talking about. The square disc on your keyboard. You had a bunch of them. Floppy disc. There you go.
See, the Phantom was like an upgrade. It was like. I think not the Motif had this. The floppy disc. Like when you see like Kanye with the floppy.
Yeah, the floppy disc, yeah.
Yeah, but see, it would start moving into digital when I got the Phantom.
Okay.
When Roland came out with the Phantom, it had the sampler on it, so it had the built-in like an MPC, like the drum machine.
Right. Yeah.
And I remember putting my cousin's name. I wrote my name. So my mom is a media specialist, librarian. She taught school for over 40 years, and so she would give us like these little things to like these little media things that we could use, like, cause I was like, Mom, we starting our business, me and Dubba AA, and then so she gave me this little thing where I can like type out like a labeler.
Right.
So I remember I typed out Chris the Great, and I wrote it and I put it on the Phantom, and on the sampler part I put Dubba AA. On the side, so he would do the beats and I was like doing the melody.
Right.
And it started out, that's how it started. You know what I'm saying? And it was cool because like people knew us as even though it was Chris the Great, people knew the name because Vandam said Chris the Great on the track.
Right.
But people saw us as a production duo at the time. But in those days, man, it was like it went from everybody hitting us up for beats. Y'all remember T-Dot?
Yeah.
T-Dot, my boy, Hustler Jones. Yeah. Like, it was to the point where people from the Raw was hitting me up, people from downtown was hitting me up, people from Delray, and it was just like, they was coming to us for production. And that was a huge developmental time for me as an artist, really as a producer, and as, like, becoming an artist.
So was you able to eat off of that, though? So now you got the people, or it was more about getting your name out there, or it's like, hey.
So yeah, let's break this down for a lot of young new producers. So at the time, right? Listen, you always go through that phase of like trying to get my name out there and exposure. But I remember I would sell beats. I would sell like a non-exclusive beat or whatever. I didn't really know what that meant at the time, but I would sell non-exclusives for $150. And I remember I had a shoebox in my closet, and I would just throw, every time I sold a beat, I would throw the money in the shoebox. And it got so much in my shoebox, the lid started coming off my shoebox, and I'm like, bro, this is actually like lucrative. I'm making money. Yeah. And that's what and then I remember my first time I sold a beat for $500, and I was like,
you out of here.
500 back then, boy. You,
like
just
some
to
Jabos.
make 500 something that came out of my mind.
Right.
Yeah. Crazy. Right. You know what I'm saying? But I take it even further before that. Like, I used to, me and Dubba AA, we used to, so I grew up downtown, near downtown, Windsor, down, over there, 36th Street. But anyway, we would have kids from the neighborhood come to my window. So they would come to where my window was, where my room window was. We would stick the microphone in the screen, and then they would record, and they would charge us $1. And
say what?
And my mom was like, "Why you got these kids coming to my my window?" I said, "Mom, we charging them $1 a piece to come just to rap on beats that we, you know what I'm saying?"
Right.
Because my dad lived in Miami, and my dad, he was the first person to give me a Casio keyboard, and I would and my mom gave me a little tape sampler, and I would just like record over and over. And so we would literally put the microphone. I would put the microphone in the window and charge jokers like $1 to come rap. And we was making like some little, lunch money. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Not bad.
And
that was a unique model.
Yes.
That was unique.
So, and I remember we cut our first tape. We cut our first tape and we went down, right down Windsor. We went right down there, and we just saw a group of this couple of thugs hanging out, and we was like, "Excuse me, can y'all play our music?" And they played our tape. It was like, okay, these little boys going off. You know what I'm saying? So that was like, okay, that's the validation we need. Like, they messing with us. Keep going with it. You know what I'm saying? So that's how it all got started.
Look at that, man.
All right, let me. So you started on the what was it again? Not the Triton, but the Phantom. There you go. All right. Yeah. So what DAW are you using now?
It's so funny. So I feel like,
or the transitions. Like what did you go to?
I feel like the transition. All right, that's a story in itself. Like, man, and there's so much we got to cover. But as far as the transition now, I'm using more like I'm not really an analog guy anymore. I use like computer software and stuff like that. Or actually like Fruity. Honestly, that's like
one of the
back then. People used to laugh at Fruity.
Yeah.
People thought Fruity was a joke. Yeah. If you used Fruity, you wasn't a real producer.
Yeah.
Fruity
I was using it. Yeah.
For real. You got people doing whole sessions. So, man, I use a little bit of everything I try to mix in. But, I took a long break, so I feel like, and getting back into it now has been, really refreshing for me and, a spiritual thing because I just built a studio in my house. And I haven't made music in over, I want to say, I put out a single last year, but I haven't, prior to that, I took a 5-year break because, I was raising a family, this and that, and I just wanted to lock into other things, but I feel like there is always that spiritual thing that's calling you back to, your passion and what you love to do. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So going back to it now, I still got my Phantom. I still got it, and I got some of the buttons don't work. I got it,
Right.
Yeah, but it's a first love, man. Producing first love.
I always say that fire never burns out. It may dim down for a while, but it's gonna light up. It's gonna always light up here and there. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I know how you feel.
Still in do you have the motivation to be an artist at this point in your life?
That's a great question, bro. Because people don't realize that what you just said, that can look and feel different over time, bro. It really can. Like when you think about when you first started, why you do what you do, why you love it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That continues to change as you evolve. You know what I'm saying? As
right.
you evolve, that idea evolves. And for me, it's been a journey of getting re-inspired because, man, you know, when you get older and you start seeing the business side of things and you start to see, you know, the relationship side of things, and you know, it's not just like you're doing it for the love anymore. It kind of turns into, you know, a job sometimes. And you have to reconnect and rethink about, you know, why you love this or why you called to do it in the first place. You know, I remember thinking when we first started, I was like, man, everybody's trying to be a rapper now. Everybody's trying to be a rapper. And I was like, all these rappers can't actually make it. But what I've noticed is that all those people that was rapping back in the day, you know what I'm saying, and that was trying to do it, like I'm talking about 2005, 2006, back in the day, right? You had all these artists because it was like this boom of artists. Like that's when, you know, I saw one of your previous episodes, and you were talking about Soulja Boy. Soulja Boy really let everybody know like you could do this, you know, yourself, and you can do it at a level, you know what I'm saying, right in your home. And it taught a lot of people that.
Right in your room, yeah.
Right. So when you saw all this huge boom of artists, I would ask myself, I said, you know, when all these people that's trying to do it, how are these people going to be weeded out? You know, will they sustain? Will they continue being artists? But what I noticed, and specifically about the music industry and what it did for the black community, is it created opportunities outside of music. It created a spirit of entrepreneurship. You know, think about it.
Yeah.
You have people that were artists that are videographers that have their own media companies.
Right.
You know, like you guys have a podcast. Like you have people that are like graphic designers. All of these different skills. You know, for me, it was marketing because I didn't realize then. You know, I was building a brand. I was building a movement. I didn't know what that really was, but I knew I was doing what I love doing. And when you follow what you love doing and your passion, you sometimes are introduced to what success can be and how it can look different in later in life. You know what I'm saying? And it's okay. It's okay. And you'll always go back to the thing that brought you there, but I think that's the beauty of life. Like, it's no clear cut, you know, journey to success or whatever. It's just following your passion, doing what you love to do.
Right. I'm gonna
regardless of the outcome.
Right.
Regardless of the outcome. Because there's always going to be a good outcome, regardless, even if it's not what you thought it would be.
Well, it came from somewhere, from something you love doing. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna use 50 Cent for an example. Look what happened to him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So is it therapeutic? Like I don't know, cause like to Eric's, when I think of that question, it scares me. That's why I'm like, ooh, I couldn't answer it. But the passion, like to Eric's point, is man, I don't think I could ever stop. I don't know if I could function if I'm not around that environment.
Yeah.
And thank God for exposure and what we're doing here. I'm still around it because it's entertainment. We're talking with individuals who have the same, who experience the same things we did coming up. But man, I'm already like creating. There's something crazy about the idea, the beat, the graphic.
Yeah.
Like I like seeing it come together.
The process.
And you might find this weird. Like I like the when I can take 10, 12 songs and I come up with the order. and then I have Oscar open that bad boy up, and he start aligning them. I get crazy about stuff like that. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to listen to it in the car. Like, I want a CD. I don't even get it. I get a CD when I get the master version and ride out for it. And once it's good, I upload. But it's a feeling about that, man, that just, I think that's the best high I can get.
There's also a part the way where we be lying. And I'm sorry, but I have to call this out because we beautiful people, so we'll always have it in us to say what's uplifting, what's satisfying, what still give you hope and faith. And boy, could that be a fart, because I see a lot of sick people. I see a cloud of artistic depression over our entire region. I see a lot of artists, a lot of talented people over the years who would have did some amazing things, get no opportunities. I see when you do see the smallest bit of momentum, it's never what we will vote for to represent who we are. And then the urban side specifically I want to speak to, and you kind of touched on this before, it's artificial. What we was trying to push as the sound of Palm Beach don't represent Palm Beach. That's a small portion that is considered in some ways fractured. It's not like when that stuff was going down, city plays, downtown, stuff like that, people was terrified. Yeah. It ruined the reputation of a place, and we was glorifying.
We embraced
it. We embraced it. Yeah. And this is a poisonous. This is a sickness. That end up also being the template of what our sound and music was supposed to be, even up to this day. Even when we had Shane 08 on here, he names a lot of the artists that starting to bubble, but even he is like, we don't even need no more of them, because all of them, although they're bubbling, they doing the thing, all of them sound exactly like everything. So me, as you get older and the politics hurt you, and you be like, oh, they playing with us. We acting like we don't know we being played with, but they playing with us and we playing with each other, and we get very competitive. We don't really want to see each other win. Soon as, and you spoke about this too. We doing a podcast, and I ain't calling nothing out, but people, but rather than you get the support, you start getting competition, and then you like, this is not nice. And I'm sitting here, I know I'm dope. I know he got a hit record about to come out with Tory Spade. Like y'all, the potential in what y'all supposed to do and where y'all supposed to go. Even Dubba AA as a MC and artist, he, and you know him personally as well. He broke by doing a downgraded version of himself. And he is intelligent, so he know this stuff go, this what people like, this what they do, but he also have this expanded capacity. I'm seeing us not even know, and that's not a diss to him, but I'm saying in general, I'm seeing us not even knowing what is quality anymore.
Well, I would say when you start to explore the politics of a thing, you have to take into account, and this is my marketing mind speaking, analytics. You have to look at the numbers, like what are the people saying they want, right? And for a long time, I thought, the people want variety, but we have to ask that question: do we? Like, we can't really say, this has been a real, like a huge taboo for us, like when it comes to the music industry. Like, why, do we have these type of artists that keep feeding the same junk down our throats? And it's because like people are listening to it. You know what I'm saying? People are going on, they're patronizing it. Like they are supporting it. Whether you can say whatever you want about it. Like, you remember the genre neo soul?
Yeah, one of my favorite genres.
One of my favorite genres too. I think a lot of, you know, the influence of me as an artist come from that space, and I love that era. And I remember I was listening to an A&R, one of the founders of Afro Punk. He said, you know, every time I would try to bring a neo soul artist in through to the record label, it was so difficult to get them a record deal. You know, why is that? You know, and the thing is that being controlled from the top, or is that being controlled from the bottom? So we have to ask ourselves these questions, and we have to remember our power as a people. Like, what do we want to hear? What do we like, and what would we support? What would we stand behind to represent us? And because you got to understand, like, this is a business. So individuals that are making money off of it, they're gonna look at it as a business. It's been times where, you know, me, I'm one of a type of artist where I embrace, like I said, all different forms of creativity. I think, yeah, let's infuse this and let's infuse that. But it's been times where I've been told, listen, it's too much. Simplify it.
They was
Simple
lying.
is better. You know what I'm saying?
Lying. They was a hater.
And you know what?
Then somebody will win with the same thing that you was doing in 2007, and you y'all discouraged me about it. But now I see and I could speak on the Global Zoe with his Zumba, because he kind of got a little pushback for doing something so different. Then come to find out, like, that is the way. Yeah. That is the direction. Yeah. A lot of some of his production is from what he was mixing with the Caribbean, Haitian music and rap. Is sounding like what a lot of people doing with Afro beats today. Afro beats, yeah. And I'm like, huge. I'm like, we give some horrible advice. I don't see any intelligent direction. Not even in the roads. You looking at a road, you're like, who designed this road knowing that it was gonna be X amount of cars traveling? You seeing just basic math not even plugged into. So from an architect mind, you like, the intelligence ain't there. We can't say we know what we want. So now that mess up all the marketing analytic people who have their genius embedded in projections. They're really good at projecting what's coming, but when you attach your soul to it, you like, ooh. Yeah. You kind of see them red flag, like, ooh, this way we going, and you can kind of call it before. Yeah. Now you'll make your investors, you'll meet your quotas because you're able to calculate and foresee. But then, especially people in marketing that's really, really good, they have their posts on all of the dangers too. They could definitely see where the mistakes are, and that's disappointing, because we obviously have to live with the sickness. You got kids, we all got kids. Yeah. We see some suspect things like, man, am I gonna have to lock them in a box, keep them from engaging in some of this stuff? Or you like, well, man, all they friends on iPads. Yeah. Like, what I'm gonna do if they all their friends on iPads? So everybody responsible. Right. They listening to the same stuff. If all their friends like it, it was the same with us. But it was a few of us, and impressively, all of us in here always brought something different. Nobody in here is, I would say, and it's still not any disrespect, because I wish I could blend in and do some of the things that the majority do. But everybody in here always brought something disruptive that is important, and it still confuses me to this day why we don't aggressively make decisions for ourselves and for the black culture, because do we have anything yet? We still complaining.
Well, I would say this, right? It's about, I think now we're living in a very unique time, right? And the time that we're living in now is find your people.
Right.
Find your audience. Find the ones, because back in the day it was hard. It was harder because you had to like do what everybody else did to come up, and then you can do what you.
Then you can find yourself.
But now you can find that kid in Minnesota. You can find that kid in Arkansas that thinks just like you, and that gets you, and that understands you, understands your message, and you can get those people together on your platform, and you can speak directly to them. And I think that's what the internet has done, is make the world smaller, and that is the power of today. Like being able to get your audience and the people that are for you and that get you, that understand you, and to speak directly to them. Now, to your point, collectively, when I think of black people, right, and this has been a challenging thought, right, and I didn't really understand this until I went to Africa, and I realized that we as a people, we're not necessarily the same. There's races within our own race. When I went to South Africa, I saw the people from Zimbabwe, saw the people from Johannesburg, saw the people from just different places, Nigeria, because in South Africa it's a melting pot. It's like the New York City of the continent, right? And when I was there, I saw there were different people. They did different things. They dressed differently. They spoke different languages. It was different, and I was like, this idea that we all are the same as black people is not real. Like we're not it's like we are a system of people. Like we have, multiple groups within us, within our race. I made a post the other day. I said there's cultures to explore within black culture. You know what I'm saying? I met a group of people over in South Africa, and they look Asian. Like they were brown skinned, they look Asian. And I said, what is this group of people here? The guy told me, I don't remember the name of the group of people. I apologize. But I remember the statement what the young man made to me. He said, "Oh, those are the first Asian people."
Yeah, it's the Khoisan. They look like exactly.
They look like
exactly Chinese.
Kind of like Pharrell look a little bit.
The eyes, everything.
The eyes. Yeah. And that blew me away because I was like, "Yo, that is amazing." You know what I'm saying? And when you go there, you start to realize, like, bro, it's really bigger than just Africa, African American conversation. It's like, bro, we were literally taking from different tribes, different races, different groups, and we would just put together and be like, oh, y'all the same, like y'all ain't got no history, whatever, like try to survive. And we've been trying to take that culture and evolve it into something here. And of course there's going to be difference of opinion. Of course there's going to be different styles. Of course there's, like, we're different groups of people. Like, that's like having, think about a person from Amsterdam and a person from, London as like the same culture. They're European, but that's two different cultures. Or a person from, I don't know, Yugoslavia or whatever. Like, it's just like we're different.
What are you?
Me?
Yeah.
What am I? I'm African. I'm African American.
You was stuttering a little bit.
But yeah, I'm stuttering. I think any black person, like, what are you? I'm stuttering. Wait a minute. Like, my mom from Tennessee.
I wasn't ready.
See, when you leave the country,
I tell you, she did the ancestry thing. I didn't do it yet, but I want to do it. My mom is from Tennessee. My dad's from Georgia. Right? He's from Vienna, Georgia, like not too far from Macon, Georgia, where Otis Redding is from. They were cousins. Okay. My mom did the ancestry, East African. I want to dive more into what that is. I want to learn more about my culture, my race. And bruh, when I tell you, I was so enlightened when I went over there. It just really inspired me to want to learn more and that's something that I want to continue.
So there's
So
something.
people think I'm Jamaican or Caribbean, and I'm not.
Okay.
But I really identify because I just came from St. Thomas, and bro, I love the Caribbean. Like the food, the culture, the people.
So why do you think people think that? Because the colors or just your vibe? What do you think makes people say that?
You know, what was funny when I went to Cuba, I saw all these billboards. Go to Africa, go to Angola, all these different places, right? And I'm like, man, they like heavily promoting travel to Africa, and it's like this direct flights. You know what I'm saying? But it was so hard to go over there from the United States. You had to come up with a reason. It's right there. And I said, wow, and when another thing when I went to Cuba, I saw like most of the people that are still in Cuba are black. You know what I'm saying? They're like black people. Like you go to the store, it's black people. Like, and I stayed at an Airbnb. Right under the Airbnb was a place that I actually performed at. It was really cool. Cameroon, and the owner of it. I spoke with the owner. He said, yeah, it means runaway slave, and I just thought it was such a powerful experience to see the connection. Like, bro, like if you go to Brazil, it's the same thing. Like we have this idea of like when you think about the Caribbean, this was all just the slave routes, and then we all just made these pit stops along the way. Yeah. We all connected, bro. Yeah. Like in that way, to some way to the motherland, and even the music when I went over there, the music that I heard when I was in South Africa. It sounded like a mix of reggaeton and reggae, Afrobeat. Like it just, you think it's like is it Jamaican people, and then you see some people like over in South Africa. They dress like the 1960s, and they actually this one lady came up to me. She said, "Oh, are you colored?" And I'm like, "Colored?" I'm thinking like something from like the 60s. They said, "Oh no, that's what we call mixed people." And I'm like, oh no, I ain't mixed. I'm black, I'm African American. I'm not colored, but that's what they call mixed people over there. So colored.
It's definitely confusing because anytime I ask a normal black I don't even know what to call it, but a normal black person versus like a Haitian or a Jamaican or somebody who have a cultural heritage, but also a landmass to associate. So then you get to the black Americans, like me and you would be considered black American. We don't have that. We don't have a cultural heritage that's also designated to a landmass.
Right.
Like there's people can say, oh, I can go back to my homeland and this is how we do this, how my grandma generations of that information. You have a people here that's dark skinned that don't have that at all, and I didn't even know that until I left the country and you did something that I did and it was embarrassing. I said, where you from? You like, my mama from Tennessee. When I said that the first time I went to Europe, they was like, they looked at me like I was crazy. Like you named a city. That ain't what we talking about. Because the black people over there, they know where they from. Oh, I'm from Nigeria. Or I'm from this. They got cultural heritage, recipes, things like that. Yeah. Y'all told me stories from y'all side, and I'm like, we don't even know. Dang. We don't have nothing. And we don't know. You got the Mayan culture. You got people who got stuff, but there is a black people here don't know nothing. They don't carry the culture from Africa on, because really they African too. Right. So that question start getting. It's almost ignorant to say, oh yeah, we African. All right, yeah.
Two things.
But there's a block missing.
Yeah.
I don't know where that block at. So, cause we ain't just appear out of thin air. There's a block missing, and that's unfortunate.
Two things I want to mention. First is Delray, right? I love Delray. I love Delray, bro. And I'm from West Palm.
Okay.
And I didn't discover. Watch this. I didn't discover Delray till I became an adult. I met my wife in Delray, and Delray is different. You from Delray?
Yeah. A
Delray
lot of
is
my
different.
family in Delray.
Right. The second thing I was gonna say is right that the Haitian people, right, specifically here in South Florida, the pride, like I love it, like to know, to have that heritage, right? It's a rich heritage, and to have that history, right, and to really thrive like the way the Haitian people have, like if you remember growing up Haitian, you know what I'm saying? I'm not Haitian, but growing up and like interacting with Haitians in the 90s versus today, like Haitians like run it, like they run the music industry right now. Like I have a lot of friends that are Haitians in the music industry that are like killing the game, and that's huge. That's huge for Black people.
Yeah.
Because like this separation, right now I'm working on a new album, and my friend that's my producer, he actually was in our band back in the day, Pangea. He's producing my album. His name is Jimmy Newso, Haitian. Like from the Pangea roots, like came up together, my brother, and like, you know, just sitting here talking with him about like just the Haitian culture, like what they were able to accomplish. It's really a win for all of us, like as a Black people, as a culture, and like we kind of have this separation. Like, you have Jamaicans, like bro, like that is first and foremost huge. Like, but I want to talk about Delray, right? So Delray, I'm gonna jump back to that. I want you to chime in on that too. So, but Delray, when I came to Delray, I did a show in Delray back in 2012, and I realized that I always thought Delray was like an extension of Fort Lauderdale, like, cause I'm North Palm Beach. Like I grew up right here downtown. As far as I would go, it's Lake Worth. You know what I'm saying? So when I got older, we started doing stuff in Delray, and I would hear about Eric Biddines, hear about One Hot, and I would hear about these people, and I want to know more about Delray, and the Black community in Delray. Man, it's like this close knit community. Everybody knows everybody. Their families know each other. Yeah. There's a lot of money in Delray. A lot of successful people, successful Black families in Delray Beach. Yeah. They own businesses. Yeah. Like it's a legacy in Delray Beach, bro. I was like almost like envious because I grew up downtown. Like my grandmother, I told you she owned one of the oldest properties on 4th Street. It's called the Ambrose House. It was a school back in the early 1900s, and that was like the historic Black elite. Was one of the first Black architects developed the house, and that was just like the historical society is constantly trying to buy the house from our family. So like I love history, I love legacy. And when I got to Delray, I'm like, man, you know how many like low-key millionaires like it is in Delray, Black people running things? Like, bruh, like for real. And like, my wife, her family is a part of that legacy, like in the coaching space. Like her family, the Caesars, they like coaches and like they have history with
coaches, the coaches,
department, Atlantic High School, and I just thought that was I was just blown away. I was so mesmerized by that, and I grew up later as an adult understanding Delray Beach, and the value, and bro, like it's amazing that we don't realize what's in our backyard and what we have, and what what we're a part of. And I think that it should be more of understanding. Like I remember one time, like I did a show at a place called Arts Garage.
There you go. I was trying to come up with a name.
There you go.
And Eric Biddines was headlining that show.
Yeah,
and I did that show. We did it after you.
Yeah.
And I remember you never know who watching you. That's another thing as an artist. Like we were, I'm adjusting this mic. But we were doing our thing, but like we were looking up to like Eric Biddines. We were looking at Global Soul. Like you were like that person, like I would say like a DJ Khaled almost in the community. Like you had your events and like you always saw you on a flyer and it was just like like that was a big deal. Yeah. Even though people thought like Pangea Kidz, they was on 106 and Park and this and that, but like we was looking at what y'all was doing and like that's a big deal because y'all got the city like and y'all can bring out a crowd. I remember y'all had Rohan up here. Yeah. Rohan was like, you gotta bring out a crowd. Like you can bring out a crowd like that really defines you as an artist. Like you know what I'm saying? That's true. Like being able to sell tickets. Yeah, we had a lot of fans. They were scattered. We had fans like that were scattered. Like we was early on to find your people, even if they're in a different state. But it was difficult back then because when you trying to sell tickets and you trying to do shows and you trying to pack out a crowd, like you have to. It was the ones that had that presence in the city that was
for sure. No, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? So looking at that, man, looking at the rich history in Delray, I will always tease you. I don't know if you remember this, Eric. I used to be like, Eric, man, but are you tapping into that Delray money? And then you would always say, yeah, but you know Delray, it's like, you know, they bougie, whatever. But I was like, yo, Eric, if you don't do nothing, but focus on Delray, like, because it took an outside person to look in and see what you got, and I think a lot of artists don't do that enough. And
you got posted in the Delray newspaper.
Yeah. I was in.
That's crazy.
Oh, you were Delray poster boy.
I still got
that.
You were the Delray poster boy.
They got me on Wikipedia as a notable person.
Right. That's crazy. I was
my family in the Spady Museum for one of the oldest families there.
Nice.
For what?
Okay. Just want to be in one of the oldest families recorded. Like almost, you can probably say almost any Black American in Delray is related. Like I'm related to your wife even in a certain way. It got so serious where cousins was making babies with cousins.
Right.
Like that. Okay. So everybody in Delray is related. I know there's the history is there, but from being so close within the families, you also seen a lot of people pushed out who can't afford it because it start as a place start to thrive. Yeah. And this is and this why I say we have to take more responsibility because not everybody have the foresight to know, hey, this city, this county, this area have a plan. You're not gonna be able to stop the plan. Nope. It's gonna look like what it need to look like in 15, 20 years. Facts. They already got it printed. They got the layout. It's beautiful.
It's like an extension of Boca.
It's still going. It is. Yeah, it's still going.
So, but when there's a narrative for an area, we get mad when it started to get cleaned up. It started getting nice. I remember people hated when they redid the sidewalks in Delray, put the nice bricks down. And in my mind, I was confused. I didn't understand. I'm like, this look nice. But like, no, they pushing us out. It was almost as if we rather kept it dirty just to make sure we can afford to be there rather than saying, no, we have to upgrade our direction as well. Right. And what we doing because this area don't want to stay like this. But then who is actually feeding us that information? Who is securing those opportunities for us to survive? Who is allowing us to know of the jobs and the careers that's actually going to help you going forward? Because a lot of people got duped with some horrible advice. They got degrees, they got into fields, and in 5 years it's gone, and you don't even have don't have nowhere to go. And the jobs that's needed, just the basic jobs that's needed to actually contribute to your community ain't paying enough to even live there. Right. We know teachers, we know people working child care, we know people working service. Like what they contributing to, they can't afford to stay there. So facts. You wonder where the responsibility is, and I go back to it being on us. Why we don't have no artists we don't have a really thriving artistic culture when we have all the opportunities. I won't say the opportunities. We have the setup for these things to be able to thrive, but something is just like missing. I have no idea where that structural foundation supposed to come from.
I think it's the history. I think it's like understanding where you come from, and where, they always would say.
Good point.
You don't know where you're going unless you know where you come from. I think that's a good point for you to chime in. So, like, we talked about the Haitian culture, right? And we talked about, here you are. You have a group of people that have this rich history, and I was talking to my friend about this. As you are here in South Florida, and you are being exposed to a Black American culture, right? As a Haitian American, and coming from where your experiences and the history, where a lot of times us as Black Americans, we have our American history, but we don't have that connection to the motherland, right? So coming into that, like, how does, first of all, like, because and I'll be transparent about this, I've seen situations where it's like the Zoes, we not linking with the Black Americans because we all working together. We got our team, whatever, and we doing our thing, and we ain't working with Black Americans because they can be crabby. They try to tear people down. Versus we work together and we build. And same thing on the other side, the Black Americans are looking at the Zoes, and I think it's gotten better over time.
For sure.
But that has definitely been kind of a conversation. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I've heard it. I've heard of it, but I've never experienced it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I've heard of it, and in cultural, it's like with those two, it's like this. So if you're from Delray, they already know what kind of person's from Delray, right?
Fact.
So when you introduce yourself to a Haitian, they say where you from, and once you name it, that part of Haiti, they're gonna say, "Oh, you either eat collard greens, you like this, you beat on women." They already can stereotype like a mother.
You talk like this.
Down and you're like, "What the hell?
Yeah.
You think everybody from Delray? That's all they do?"
Right.
And that's how a Haitian is, like the older generation. That's what they live by and they swear by. I remember talking to this one girl one time. They're like, "Oh, y'all cheaters, y'all beat women, and y'all dominant." And I'm just like, "Damn." She said, "Yeah, I know your people. Don't waste my time." And like that, for example, is what it is when it comes to that. But I haven't experienced that because I feel like I've been cool. Some Americans, I'm like they're closest. I've never really grew up on American Haitian so much focused on it. But I'm cool with. I've never experienced nothing. It's been love. Yeah. I go to their houses. They watch my kids. I watch their kids. I've experienced nothing but love. From that, I don't know about you, Drego, but
yeah, we again grew up in Delray. All our friends, it don't matter who it was, our folks always forced us to, not forced, but taught us to if we have friends, they taught the Black American friends, hey, to look out for each other, because if somebody again on the outside do something wrong to you guys, we got to protect each other and be able to handle the business. But I just remember my folks, man. It didn't matter who you are. But I had a bunch of Black American friends. When we eat, they eat. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That we just that's how we was brought up.
Haitian food and everything.
Yeah.
I never had.
Yeah,
maybe
never.
Before it could have been.
Maybe,
but
yeah.
I didn't experience that part. Yeah, I think we just overcame the whole Haitian versus American. Yeah. Like when I was coming up, it was more like we were cool. It was no problem.
You eat Haitian food?
Heck yeah.
You know a lot of Haitian restaurants, don't you?
I know. Alberte's.
Okay.
Listen, I remember the first time I tried griot. Listen, man. Hey, Haitian food, that black rice. Come on, bro.
Oh, the mushroom rice.
That John.
I said, there's no soul food restaurants. You got a lot of Chinese restaurants. You got a lot of Indian restaurants. You got a lot of You got a lot of Haitian restaurants. You got a lot of Jamaican restaurants. No soul food.
No, let's be honest. And I'm glad you said that because Caribbean culture, they get a pass in a lot of sense, like from traditional white America. Now, I hate to say that, but it's true. Like, people like Caribbean culture. You know, it reminds them of vacation. You know what I'm saying? It reminds them whatever. And it has been a struggle for. It's a reason why you don't see the black restaurants and these things as much. It is a struggle. Now, I will say this. Even though that may be the case, right? I think that it is very important for us to patronize the Haitian restaurants, to patronize the Jamaican restaurants, to patronize the Caribbean restaurants, and all of the other things that you can think of, because I think that for a long time, and this is to that point we were talking about earlier, is that we kind of saw ourselves as separate culture, but it's really not. We're really not that separate of a culture as we think, and it's important that we band together, we work together in so many ways, and I think you see that now happening a lot more, because I just mentioned earlier, specifically in the music industry, you're seeing a lot of Haitian Americans that are in high positions as far as like A&Rs and like decision makers.
They don't know who the Global Zoe is?
Yeah, I know who the Global Zoe is.
They need to plug me up.
So why we ain't got no the Global Zoe up there?
Let's do it. Like, bro, like I it's crazy. Like, my band, Pangea, my entire band was Haitian. People don't know that, but like we kind of I feel like we kind of skimmed over like the Pangea story. So yeah, we started out, we wanted to do something positive, you know, whatever like that. We decided, my previous manager, who was like now the top vice president of Warner Music.
Wallace.
Yeah, okay. He used to manage Pangea Kidz back in the day. He came to me, told me, he said, your music needs to be live. And I said, okay, if you can get me a band, I don't know where I'm gonna get a band. And he said, I got a band. And he brought a Haitian band. It was a compa band. It was in, right? And he gave me my music, and they played the music live. So what you saw then, Pangea Kidz, my band was completely Haitian band. It would be times we'll be in rehearsal, I'm over here talking to Dubba AA, I'm talking to Gary, we talking English, at the band over here talking Creole. Like, it was two different dynamics, you know what I'm saying?
I had no idea. That's dope.
And then, but then we started to like really gel and started to joke and you know what I'm saying? And then, you know, we used to joke around, and my boy James, who was producing my album now, New Soul, he was like, he said, this guy think he Michael Jackson. He said, this guy is Michelle Jackson. This guy is Michelle Jackson.
Yeah.
So, but we used to like really just adapting to their culture and learning more. Like, it was a learning experience. It was like, yeah, bro. Like, I think we need more of that. Like, it's no separation. Like, because we gotta understand, we all in this trying to come up, and we all in this trying to work together. Like, and it's all these barriers we gotta kind of knock down. You know what I'm saying? Like, I told you a little bit about my experience in South Africa. Yeah, there were different races, but it was like in South Africa, it was a melting pot. Everybody come to Joburg to get money. You know what I'm saying? I stayed in a place called Sandton City. It's the richest square mile in Africa. Some of the most beautiful hotels you ever stayed in, and it's all types of people there, like from all different countries that come in to do business. And what I noticed is that there, man, it's like I was embraced when I came to this. My brother, like, you know what I'm saying, like I was embraced. Like it was the craziest thing I ever seen. Like seeing people in business suits with tribal markings in their face. Mm-hmm. Like it was like, yeah, like this feel like Wakanda. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like for real, for real. And I think that we have that ability to build that here. And like I'm gonna act like a New Yorker for a minute, but not for nothing. Like we have the tools, we have the resources to do that, but we let all of these social barriers divide us in so many ways. Like we should actively always be trying to break down those barriers and build connection. This is a small industry.
Facts. So I want to talk on two things, but the band, before I want to go into it right after that. I know a band can be easy trying to have 6, 7, 8 individuals show up for rehearsal, showing up for a show. That's always been my fear of trying to get a band together. Because I can imagine managing myself and maybe my cameraman showing up and I don't know, maybe my merch person. But now you're talking about 6, 7 probably other individuals. Was it real? Like trying to get everyone to show up? Did you have to manage that? Or Wallace took care of that? Or
listen, people management is the most important thing, bro. It's the most important thing in business. It's the most important thing in anything you can imagine, music industry, whatever. It's the most important thing. Like I thought it was like, first I thought it was talent. It's not talent. First, then I thought it was like strategy, marketing strategy, and like your, you know, what is your marketing scheme? It's not that. It's people management. When you have a genuine love and respect for individuals, you come together and do amazing things.
Right.
Like Carl Rubin, he played keys for Pangea, Kidz, Haitian American Grammy Award winner. When he went on to produce, like I'm talking about after Pangea, Kidz went on to produce Where You Now for Justin Bieber, and so many other records. Like he was just at my house yesterday, and he's a part of this project that I'm working on. You know, Dubba AA went on to do what he did. Wallace. All of these individuals that came out of the Pangea camp went on to have major success, and that is what I am proud of most. Even like an early member of Pangea Kidz that people don't even remember, but if you go back to the first version of Jungle on My Neck, there was a first version. We had like a live version, we had a rock version. There was another member of our group, cause like we would like say it's not a movement, it's an identity. There was another member, Will Brennan, which was another individual that went on, got signed to
Steve Aoki.
Someone's cousin?
Steve Aoki.
Yeah, Someone Delray Beach.
Okay.
He was a part of Pangea Kidz, like, and all of these individuals, like, he went and got signed to Stephen Aoki and do great things. All of these individuals, like, it was a springboard. Pangea Kidz was a springboard for a lot of these individuals, and it's because it was young kids with fresh, positive energy to just do what they love and then go on and do whatever great things. And I would say in my experience, in that I had a very fortunate experience to be a part of Pangea Kidz, to be a part of as a founder in Pangea Kidz. I have a very great experience to learn about how people in relationships work. That sure, was I perfect at it? No. There was a lot of things that I had to learn along the way and learn about, brotherhood and building these type of relationships. But it was a very, very great experience, and it taught me so much today about managing a team, about just like team building and relationship building, all those different things, bro. And I think that is, we talked earlier about what people take away from, their experience of like trying to be an artist. Like you may not, my mom used to say, I said it in the song, like, my mama told me she'll shoot real far, and if you don't hit the moon, you'll fall amongst the stars. So like, you you have to understand every experience is on purpose, and it's to lead you to your purpose, to lead you to the next step, right? To lead you to something greater, and you know, and it may not look like what you think, but it'd be like, man, like I had an opportunity to play a role in this in some sort of way, like that's huge, you know, that's
right.
huge for me.
Right.
So like every experience, man, even the one now, like, you know, knowing Eric Biddines, knowing Gozo, seeing what y'all did for the space and in the city, and say, man, like, wow, I'm glad to know this person. I'm glad to see where they came from and what they were able to accomplish. It's just, it's a part of the story. It's a part of the story, man.
Fact.
No, thank you. I think we got to take that in because one topic in high exposure even formed, right? It's great we say this, but we know there's so much talent here. Everyone says it. So when we keep bumping into another artist, if I bump into another DJ, another promoter, it's like, oh, if we just put our heads together, right? I don't know how many times you hear that throughout the day. If we just put our heads together, and that's how exposure has formed. We want to get these backstories, and we want to give the younger generation somewhere to go to learn from, and hopefully someone can take a clip or a certain part of the episode and apply it to their movement. But it's like I don't see enough people acting on that part when we say if we put our heads together. I'm watching the same people say it. Got some kind of they got motion, but that's it. It's their motion. It ain't like wait a minute, you produce and you
right.
let me link y'all two together.
Right.
Because you know what? If you get with him, that will start a movement. Let me know how it goes. Like the other day, for example, I brought a producer to a studio that has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
But it was like, hey, I want you to be there. I said I'll be there. But I saved him an hour and some change trip. And there's something locally here that he was unaware of. But now they making plays. I don't need no money from that, but it's just because I know you and I know you. So let's link and let's make it happen. I don't see enough of that in the city. Because I feel like everyone's talking, but if we really apply what everybody's scripts are, yeah, we would have a movement. We don't have no label right now, like a label in Palm Beach that's like, I'm going to change the game.
Right.
We don't got no QC.
Right.
We don't got none of that right now, but I'm like, not everybody needs to be a rapper.
Waiting on you to build it.
Oh, why?
Hey,
I hear you, but it ain't gonna be the global soda build it. I tell you what, I would support. I would always support a movement. Like exposure, we a movement. You know what I mean? We here to support individuals like yourself and give y'all a platform to come speak. But man, I just wish we would act on it more. Because I love the city. I do.
Yeah, likewise. You know, it's a ladder, not a bucket. You know, we gotta think like that. You know, if one person gets on from our city and that's doing big things, we need to get behind them. We need to support them. You know, and because you know why, your turn might be next. We gonna be supporting you next. You know what I'm saying? And I think that it's hard for us to really gravitate to that concept, but it's true. We have to use our resources. And I remember a guy told me that, you know, to give you a little bit of background, like I remember back in the day, I'm gonna tell y'all a funny story. When I first started producing, I used to go, y'all remember Rebel Rock Studios?
Jim
Johnson.
Yeah.
So I snuck into Rebel Rock Studios when I was first producing, you know, after the Bodyslam, and I was like starting to build a name. And I went down there and I just walked in and I sat at a desk, and the guy and with the studio engineer, good friend of mine to this day named George, he said, you the intern for the day? I said, yes. And I just stuck in there. He's all right, come in the studio. So he brought me in the studio. And I'm in there, freaking legends walking there. Rico Love walks in, and he's got the icy chain. And like, I'm like, oh, this is crazy, man. Like, I'm in the studio, you know what I'm saying? And I'm in there. So finally, I started playing some beats. And I'm like, yo, let me play a beat. So I go in there, he's like, hey, come on. I started playing beats. And then I go in there, I'm like, yeah, like, listen to this beat. Yeah, y'all don't know who I am? I'm Chris the Great. Y'all don't know me, I'm Chris the Great. I'm the king of Palm Beach. Ain't nobody better than me. I'm the best producer out of Palm Beach County. Like that. So then, next thing you know, right? They're like, okay, all right, yeah, all right. This could be mixed more. They started giving me some game. And it's like, yeah, like my beats, I was playing them right off the Phantom. But what was crazy was I ain't know nothing about mixing, nothing about mastering, all that good stuff. So then I get a call the next day, God bless the dead, from Cooley C. And Cooley C say, nigga, you went down there, you talk about you the king of Palm Beach, this and that. He's like, them the big boys down there. Them the big boys down there, this and that. He's like, man, listen, let me tell you something, bro. You gotta pay your dues, man. You gotta be patient, bro. You can't just go down there, this and that, da 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 da. It's a process to this. And I started thinking to myself, I'm like, man, and it was a humbling experience because, you know, this is time 21 Reese, you know, he just signed a deal with Rebel Rock Studios.
I know what time.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this was like, yeah, like, this is the closest thing to me. Like, this is like, yeah, like, if I just can get it.
Yeah.
But sometimes you got to understand how things play out. You can't just rush the process. You can't run in there and think like, okay, yeah, this should be my time, right? Sometimes you gotta get behind those individuals like that are making the waves, that are supporting and making a name for the city and support them. And guess what? Like, think about it like this. Y'all remember when So Icy came out? Mm-hmm. That song, that was Gucci Mane's song. But that's how he got introduced to Young Jeezy. You see what I'm saying? Young Jeezy was a feature on that song.
Yeah.
And I remember that summer. That summer when So Icy came out, my 12th grade year, everybody was like, yo, you heard that Snowman? I'm like, Snowman? Like, yeah, this nigga that was on that So Icy song with Gucci.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, bro, it's about you have to play that position. Know that when it's somebody that their time, like don't be afraid of supporting. Like that they got a movement going. Let me support. Let me show love, because you don't know how this game is so crazy. Like one moment it could be all about this person, and then next thing you know, people get onto your music and onto your wave, and then now everybody listening to you.
Facts.
So it's about being humble in this game, man, and timing, man. That's a really big thing, man. And I had to learn that a lot. I had a lot of experiences like that where I had to learn it the hard way and understand, like, don't rush it. It's all about timing.
That was just a beautiful performance.
That was. You put that together very well.
You want to know why I say it's a beautiful performance? Because you have a beautiful heart.
Now,
but
that
goes to Savage.
But that means something coming.
There's a lot of wrongs.
Yeah.
People that had to work, who had a lot of resistance put against them. Once they get to that point, they don't want to see you get it like that. But you were already ready. You was born ready. People are born ready, but people are afraid for those. It's intimidating to see somebody come out the gate,
right,
saying who they actually is from birth, who they already was, and know what they supposed to be doing.
Right.
But you do have other cultures, and I don't even need to pinpoint no cultures. They getting it because of who else before them got it and gave it to them. They getting it because of their last name. They getting it because of a relationship. They getting it because they're in the right neighborhood. They getting it because they being looked out for. Then it circle back to certain people. You gotta work for it. What dues I'm paying? How many of y'all I gotta feed before I need to do what I'm supposed to do anyways? When everybody else is getting shortcuts. Yeah. This why we behind. You can get food delivered to your door like this, groceries, you can get drinks, you can get anything you want to your door. What AI is doing right now, you in tech, so you know, getting it like that. But we gotta wait. Exposure can't get a bag. The Global Zo can't get on. You saying we got all these Zoes empowered? Yep. You saying I can't get one of my songs can't get? You saying one of my songs can't get licensed? That's already sitting out there. Yeah. You saying we gotta? Y'all can't approach us and say, hey, whatever y'all want to do, we got a bag for y'all. You want to build a coffee shop? We got to where the shortcuts at, cause it's gonna be needed. Yes, and it's necessary, and that's the only thing to me that makes sense when you know that you can hide behind allowing those to come forth and do what they need to do based on wanting to see a series of check marks, and we way past that. Who we are today, you know in 5 minutes if a person gonna do what they gonna do, and it's happening with a lot of people. It's just only, and I'm speaking for this disappointing artistic cloud we have over Palm Beach County. There's no excuse as to why we don't have that momentum already flowing. Yeah, it's no reason.
Well, I would say this, and feel free to chime in anyone. I think that one of the problems specifically, and this is, I want to comment on the last thing you said, with Palm Beach music scene, I want to specifically talk about that, is that we have to understand where we're at. And I want to elaborate on that. When we were doing Pangea Kidz, and we just did 106 in Park, we trended number 2 in the nation. It was Oprah. That same day was Oprah's last show, and she was trending number 1. We were trending number 2 on Twitter. It was Pangea Kidz, this different group on 106 in Park, and BT tweeted, and it was like, you see what Wild Out Wednesday does? Pangea Kidz' lives are changing. They wrote that, and then at that time we had this buzz, like we was in a weird spot, because it was like I thought to myself, I was like, if we could just get on 106 in Park, people can see what it's like in South Florida. Like, it's different. It's not just one dimensional. And at that time, New York was running the airways. Like, if you was from New York, like, you got the opportunity. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, we're gonna be that breakthrough group that comes out of the South, that they just say, oh yeah, it's other people down there. Like, we're gonna come out of South Florida. So after we did that, I remember that we got another show booked right after that. It was at the Apollo, and they wanted us to come perform, and they put our name on the marquee, all that. And we had this management company that was entertaining us. They was trying to woo us. They wanted to manage us, and they said, y'all from South Florida, right? Y'all need to come out with some beach balls and like beach gear. And we looked at them like, what? Like, what the hell are you talking about? Yeah. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, you gotta understand, like, it goes back to the marketing mind. People only understand what you tell them. Like, we assume sometimes people understand, like, the culture with Delray and all the rich history. They don't know. We assume people know the story of the Zoes and like the resilience of the Haitian people, and how they really legally should own Louisiana, but they don't know. Cause like, if you defeat a country in battle, guess what? You own the spoils of that country too. And Louisiana, which was owned by the French, literally at the time that they was defeated by the Zoes, by the Haitian, Haitian people, Louisiana should be owned by Haiti, right? And it's no coincidence that a Haitian man discovered Chicago, all these different things in history. But when we look at all of these different things, right, and we say, okay, we have to understand where we're at. We have to understand where we have to educate people. We have to tell them who we are. And for us, we were all about jungle on my neck. We were all about the jungle, but we didn't do what Uncle Luke did. Uncle Luke had them out there in their bathing suits with super soakers, throwing parties. Miami, when you thought about Miami, it was vacation, getting in the pool and the beach. It was South Florida. Yeah.
He embraced the theme, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And sometimes, like, we gotta, and some people call it dumbing it down.
Yeah.
So, but just like I take it from you, like you got the goals in your mouth, right? But you know you a conscious artist, and you got the goal because you letting them know I'm from South Florida.
Yeah. You
know what I'm saying? So it goes back to like boom, like we have to remember like yeah we want to push the conversation, but we gotta. Some people don't even know where the conversation started. We gotta go back and we gotta let people know how it began. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And so, yeah, like when they told us to come out with beach balls, we was like beach balls. We don't even go to the beach. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But dog, this South Florida, bro. We got the beach. People come here. They spend money to come to the beach. Every artist, you want to keep it real. Every artist in South Florida need to incorporate the beach in their music because this South Florida, and that's just how it is, bro. You need to do something like the Beach Boys. Shout out to Beach Boy, that's a Jamaican artist. I follow you on Instagram, you doing this thing, he's incorporating that. From Palm Beach, you have to understand where we're at. This is the beach. We from South Florida, you need to incorporate this. Because when people think of Florida, they think about the beach. Mm-hmm. Period, bro.
Palm trees, beach.
And it's like, we take it for granted. But somebody in New York, middle of America, they think about the beach. You talking about South Florida, they think about the beach, bro. So we got to understand where we're at, and we understand like meet people where they're at, and we gotta educate them. And like, yeah, bro, like yeah, that's the element. Like when I think back on Pangea and all of what we did, yeah, like it was a great movement, and really great idea. Could we have done things a little different? Like yeah, we could have incorporated South Florida, the palm trees, the beach, but our minds was in another place, which is okay. But the thing is that you have to embrace your surroundings and you have to make it a part of who you are because guess what? People may not identify with Eric Biddines, but they can identify with the beach. And Eric Biddines being from South Florida, that mixtape you did, South Florida, Southern FLA with the rims. Oh, I understand that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You got to think of it like that because people... They gravitate toward a certain aesthetic, certain idea, all of those different things. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes we forget that as artists. Like, we want to get to what we want to say, which is important. But you got to understand these different elements. Look at artists out of LA. Look at artists out of New York, right? And look at what they embrace, what they talk about. They talk about things that are pertaining to of their city, and guess what? They're not associated with that. And the conversation is bigger. Yeah, I may not understand Joey Badass, but I understand Brooklyn. I understand where he's from. I understand all of these different elements. I understand the jazz, why he uses jazz in his music, because, hey, that's New York. Gotcha. I lived in Harlem. I love Harlem. I lived in Harlem for 5 years. And Harlem is like, I'm like adopted child, dog. You open your window at night, you hear jazz music all night, you know what I'm saying, all night, and then you also hear like the meth heads that's walking by screaming and yelling and saying. I had a dude walk by my window and was like talking about the Ninja Turtles one night. It was so crazy, but I love that. Like I love that element, that part of my life. People gravitate towards that, and that goes back to we gotta remember we're artists. People gravitate towards the sensories. Like, we learned this in high school, like the smell, touch, like all of these different things, they remind us. Smell, yeah, taste. These all like nostalgia to us. And we have to remember to incorporate these things, as a testament of where we're from and what we represent. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense.
That's dope, man. So, I guess I ask you, Jim of the day, advice to your younger self or upcoming producer. Or artists, what advice would you give?
Man, would say the advice I have is to just be aware. Be aware of not people tell you like be aware of yourself, and that's important too. But we live in a very narcissistic society. Like the person that wins, hear me. Where's the camera? Right here.
Yeah.
The person that wins is the person that is emotionally intelligent, that can identify with what everyone in the room is feeling. That's the person that's going to captivate your the attention of the audience, because you are identifying with all of these things, like that deal with the emotion. People forget music is a spiritual thing, and it's spiritual because of the emotional elements that goes into it. Like, think about your favorite artists. Like, you connect with them because of the things that they say, the things that they make you remember, the things that they make you think of. Like, this beat reminded me of when I was in 7th grade. Like, all of those different things goes into being an artist. And I think that, like, we live in a society where we want to just be like, boom, like, I'm here and I'm this and I'm the best and I'm this and that. Yeah, I mean, I bet, in some cases some of those do slip through the cracks. But the real artists, the real ones that are stay relevant, that make an impact, are the ones that can touch people's soul through just through relevancy and being, identifying
relatable
things, that making a personal connection. And that's what I feel like what the game is missing. That's what we, that's what we're getting back to now. Like artists like Tim's, like isn't Tim's like, she's so nostalgic of like Lauryn Hill, like it's like damn, like I remember when music was like this.
She's beautiful.
That's
too.
why they played her song 8 times in a row on the radio, like, because in that song, like Free My Mind, like people don't know that song is about mental illness. It's like dealing with mental illness.
Is her album like that?
I didn't hear the album yet. I want to.
Yeah. It's more spiritual freedom. Yeah. Exactly what more like the song. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what. And earlier we were talking about like, back in the day where I was talking about like it felt like everybody was one dimensional, like everybody was trying to, represent one narrative coming out of Palm Beach. Like that's what I like. What I really respect about movements like NWA, right? You were talking about early music, like what changed the trajectory of hip hop and what we know it as today. Like Outkast, all of these groups, like they were really authentic in like saying what their reality was and making these identifying with people struggle and like where we're at today, like and making those connections. So I think like if I could say anything to an up and coming artist, it's just like connect with what people are feeling and really tap into that and be authentic, be truly yourself and speak to those things. You know what I'm saying?
My brother, man, I want to thank you for blessing us today. I can't wait to hear the new album. I know you're working on it.
Yeah.
I feel like we're going to have to do this again to be continued, because I feel like there's so much more we could tap into, but we'll definitely do it on another episode. So for the viewers that are watching, how can they get with you? What are your handles? How can they follow and stream the music?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram as Chris Redding. Follow me on Instagram. New album, I hopefully be done with it by the summertime. This is actually, and I didn't even get to this, but the album is very unique. It's a unique approach. And it's an ambient chant album, actually. And this album is all about like just spiritual chants, like just from the soul. And it's gonna be dope, man. Like, but it's still the hip hop essence, R&B feel. But it's something that we're doing as an experiment, and I'm excited to put it out there. Excited to let y'all hear it. So, Chris Redding, Chris_Redding, Instagram.com, and then you can find me everywhere else after that.
That's what's up, man. Well, y'all tuned into Exposure. It's another episode. We appreciate you, my brother. We'll have you back soon.
Thank you so much. Blessings.
It's more than just a podcast. It's exposure.